Meshem, today we'll be learning on Daf Lamed Vav Amud Beis. We're starting from the Mishnah over there. Masna Odom al Eruvin. A person can make a t'nai on his Eruv. That means that if a person he's not sure which direction of he wants to go during the Yontif or the Shabbos, in which direction he wants to go, extra above the Tchum Shabbos. So he can place an Eruv on both sides of the city. The issue basically is that when a person places an Eruv, let's say the 2,000 amos from the city, which is the limit of the Tchum. So when he puts his Eruv at the limit of the Tchum, so then he loses the distance that he's able to walk to the other side of the city. So if he puts it, his Eruv in Mizrach, 2,000 amos from the city, then he loses his Eruv, he loses his distance that he's able to walk to the Ma'ariv side of the city. And he can't, on the Ma'ariv side of the city, he can't walk out of the city at all because the center of his dwelling is where he placed the Eruv. And what happens if the person is not sure on Yontif which direction he wants to go on Yontif? So he can place two Eruvin, one at 2,000 to Mizrach and the other one 2,000 to Ma'ariv of the city. And then he makes it nine. Masna Odom al Eruvin. He makes it nine as Eruv. If the Goyim will come from the Mizrach, and I want to run away from the Goyim in case they're coming looking for me, so then Eruv. So the Eruv, which is on Ma'ariv side of the city, that should be the good Eruv. Therefore, I'll have an extra distance where I can run away from them to the Ma'ariv side of the city. Because I'll have 4,000 amas, which I can walk to the Ma'ariv side of the city. Min ha-Ma'ariv, if the Goyim will come from the Ma'ariv side of the city. So Eruvi the Mizrach. So the Eruv should be to Mizrach. And therefore, because I want to run away from the Goyim who are coming from Ma'ariv, and therefore the Mizrach Eruv should be the correct Eruv. And so I will have the distance I can, the 4,000 amas where I can run away in the direction of Mizrach. So that means even though he will only find out, let's say during the day, when he hears the Goyim are coming during the day, and then the Eruv has to be kind of during the Ben Hashmoshes of Erev Shabbos, Ben Hashmoshes. Nevertheless, so we say Yesh Breder that when the Goyim come on Shabbos day, that shows that his intention was that let's say they come from Ma'ariv, that the Mizrach one should be the Eruv. Because he said that if the Goyim will come from the Ma'ariv, then the Mizrach one should be the Eruv. So therefore, that means even though on Ben Hashmoshes we never knew which direction it would be, which Eruv will be the correct Eruv. But since he had his mind that it will be on the different way, the Eruv should be the one which is in the opposite direction from which the Goyim are coming. So therefore, when the Goyim actually come during Shabbos day, it shows that what was the one she really wanted? The one which she really wanted was the one in Mizrach. And so that's based on the principle of Breder. It means that later, Breder means clarify, and then later, we've clarified later, later becomes clarified what was the original intention. And the Mishnah continues, if they came from both directions, and so I'll have to make up my mind which one I want to go. They come from both directions, then I'll on the spot make up my mind which one I have to go, which one is more dangerous, or which one I can hide away better from. So then the mokim she'er tzeilich. So if they come from both sides, so I should be able to go whichever one I decide on that moment, which I'll decide on Shabbos day. And that is a good Eruv, because that because he said that he wants the Erev should be the correct Erev, the one which he will decide on Shabbos which one is the correct Erev. So that means that really we can argue that he has really decided on Friday at Ben Hashmoshes, he already decided the Erev should be the one. He decided which one. Which one? The one which later he said that's the one which he decided on Friday. Now we say that when he decides, which decided Shabbos, but when he decides on Shabbos, it's just megala. It's being a varer yesh breira. It's clarifying what was his original intention during the Ben Hashmoshes on Friday. They don't come from either way. Can also, the problem is that the problem with the Erev is that if the Erev is in one direction, like we mentioned before, then he loses the distance. He can walk in the other direction of the city. Now, what happens if on Shabbos Yom Tov he wants to walk a little bit, visit some people to the outside the city, to the east of the city, then some other people which he wants to visit west of the city, he wants to visit here and there, and the moment is if his Erev is chal, he's limited to the city limits. He wants to, therefore, he can also make it nice that if the going don't come, I don't have to run away from them, and there's no issues. Then I should be in my own comfort, and I can walk outside the city in either direction. And I don't want any of the Eruvin to be a good Eruv. And that's a good one. Is able to do that. That's what the Mishnah starts off. Mas not the Eruv, able to make such a night. Now we have another night. So one was about the Goyim. So from the Goyim, he wants to run away. Now we have the opposite. It's similar, but it's just the opposite. Oh, there is a Rav who's supposed to come. He wants to hear the Torah from the Chacham. Yeah. So he's not sure which direction is the Chacham coming from, and where, because the Chacham will not go all the way to the city. Probably the Chacham also has a limit how far he can go from wherever he is. So he has a limit how far he can go. So he's going to end up being some distance from the city, and all the people who want to come and hear him will have to come and hear him walking in that direction. So it's the Imba Chacham Mizrach. The Chacham will be from Mizrach, Eruv the Mizrach. So then my Eruv should be in Mizrach, and therefore give me extra distance to be able to go and listen to the Drosh of the Chacham. If he comes to the west, the Meir. So it's effective to say that. Bolakan Ulakan. If there's going to be two Rabbanim coming, yeah, it could be Shabbos, two Rabbanim, one coming in one direction of the city, one in the other direction of the city, and he hasn't made up with his mind which speech he wants to hear, which drasha. So Bolakan Lakaf, have two Chacham, one from one direction, one from the other direction. So the direction which I want to go, that's how I should be able to go. But then also he makes also part of his night. He also says, if none of the Rabbanim come. So again, I want to have my comfort that I can walk to the east and to the west of the city because I want to visit some people here or visit some people there, whatever. Just take a nice walks, whatever it is. And he wants to sit. So he doesn't want the Eruvin to be effective at all because he wants to have, to be able to walk in both places. So he says, yeah, if the Chachamim don't come, then Hareini Keben area like the rest of the city people. The Eruvin should not take effect. The kids are all this. He is able to take into. He's able to include all this in his Tanai, and it's effective. The Tanai is effective. Rabbi Yehuda argues because we said before in the mission with the Tanakama said Bolakan Lakan Lemokim She'etz Elech. It will be two Rabbanim coming from two sides, so I should be able to choose which one I want to go to. So Rabbi Yehuda says that Im Hoye Echnem Rabbi, if one of the two Chacham was his rabbi, so then he can't choose not to go to his rabbi. Then he goes to his rabbi. Why? Because for sure his intention was to go to his rabbi. So if for sure his intention was to go to his rabbi, and I'm saying we have to assume that was his intention. And that's the normal thing to assume that was his intention, that he should go to his rabbi. So therefore, if the one of the rabbi, so for sure that when he put the Erev, his intention would have been to make the choice of where the rabbi is, and therefore he is only able to go in one direction where his rabbi, not the other direction. But what happens if both of them are his teacher? There's two teachers coming, one from one direction, one direction. And then the master and he can go to whichever he chooses. So it doesn't seem to be anything new in this part of Rabbi Huda. It just seems to be repeating the what the person of the Mishnah said. That I was saying I'm only arguing on the Tanakam of the Mishnah if one of them was a teacher. One of the teachers, then I say then you can't go which one decide. Well, I'll go to not the teacher, to somebody else. Then you have to take the one of the teacher. That's the area which is chal. But if it's not that condition, then I agree with Tanakama. That's what he seems to be saying in the last few words. Now there is the Gemara says also Rabbi Yitzchak came and Tony and he had a bryce. So Rabbi Yitzchak came and he chazed the bryce she had with it, which she had been taught. Ibche. He learned the bryce. Ibche. I think Ibche. The opposite. The whole Mishnah he learned the opposite. So he had a bryce. He had a bryce which said everything the opposite of the Mishnah. What was the opposite? That in the Mishnah we learned that from the Goyim you want to run away, and from the Chacham you want to go to the Chacham. So that was the Mishnah gave two examples, one from an Ochri and one from a Chacham. The only difference was that by Nachri it was always that he's going to run away, go the different direction of the Nachri of the Goy, and the Chacham is going to go to meet the Chacham. So, but in the price it was the other way around. That the Goy is going to meet the Goy, and the Chacham is going to go away from the Chacham. So, Kasha tomorrow says Kasha Nochem Anochem Kasha Chacham. So it's like a stirrer between the Brisa which Yitzchak brought and the Mishnah. So the Gemara says Nochem Anochem Kasha. There's no stirrer between the because there's two possibilities. It's not a stirrer in din. Because there's two possibilities. Sometimes there's some goyim you want to run away from, and some goyim you want to meet. The people who come to the tax collectors. So if the tax collectors are coming, then you want to run away from them. You don't want to meet them. So that's why you want to go in a different direction. Those type of goyim. But Mari the Masa. If it's the guy in charge of the city, the mayor, I don't know, the Mari the Masa, the people in charge of the city. The people in charge of the city, Daki wants to meet them, either to get on the good side, to get something out of them, or to ask them to do something. The kids, he wants to meet them and then like meet the politicians and try and get something out of them. Yeah. So this is it's not kasha. Chacham is also not a kasha. So one of them is the Chacham. One Chacham is the Chacham who gives drushes. Now the Chacham who gives drushes, I don't know if currently it's so popular, but I guess it was more popular in the times of the Gemara and the Mishnah. So the Masechta Pirkei, the Chacham is giving the drushes, was giving halachas as well. That was probably part of the drushes, and so on. And so the person who's teaching Masechta Pirkei, so that one you want to go and listen. You want to that Chacham you want to go and listen. It's a substantial share, etc. And you go, but mikrishma. And this the other one. That's the Mishnah. So the Mishnah where you say you want to go to Chacham, that's the Chacham who's giving the drushes. Then the person who wants to go to in direction where the Chacham is. But the Hoba Mikrishma, if it's just the teacher who teaches how to daven, that's the teacher how to daven. So if the teacher teaches how to daven, he's not really so interested. And that's how Rashi explains. I just say how Rashi explains it, which he says Kachshamait. You heard that's the pshat. That the Brisa, when it says he wants to go away from the Chacham, means that there are not a person who mamish doesn't want to hear from the Chacham, but he has. There's one Chacham who teaches halachas or droshes or whatever, and the other Chacham who teaches how to daven, and they're both coming. So from one chacham, he wants to go away, and he wants to go to the other chacham, and that's what the Bryce is talking about. The Bryce, he wants to go away from the chacham who's come to teach a tefillah, and he wants to go in the direction of the chacham of who's going to give the drasha. So therefore, when the chacham, which is mentioned in the Bryce, that he wants to go away, that's the chacham from the one who's teaching how to daven. Why? Because he has a better chacham to go to, who's more interested. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, now we're going back to the Mishnah. Here, this sugya is going to be quite a big discussion. Who are the people who hold of the shita of Breira? Because there is a machlekes amongst Tanoim. Do we say Breira? Do we not say Breira? Breira means that basically that you are dependent on that. You're saying you're making a kinyan or whatever it is. It could be a kinyan, it could be an erev, it could be so many things that you're saying. You're saying that this will be dependent on some future event which will happen, and you want it to be chal now. So I wanted the kinyan to happen now, but it should be dependent on what happens in the future. So if the future there is the kinyan is chal now, and therefore the kinyan is chal now, so then I'll have use of it. So I'm able to use it now. Why? But I'm not sure if the kinyan will be. Oh, later we will find out. Then that will be megala on that. Originally, this is the one which was the correct one. And therefore, I'm able to use it. The Kitzur Advarim. So, do we say that this concept or no, or does it say there's no such thing as Breira? B'shas Ma'aseh, you have to be clear what you're doing. Then it's effective. If it's not clear b'shas Ma'aseh, then it's not effective. So yesh Breira, ein Breira. This is a machlekes Tanoim. So we're going to discuss which ones hold the yesh Breira, which ones hold ein Breira, and maybe certain situations there may be differences. That the person says even yesh Breira will hold ein Breira, or the other way around. So the Gemara says in our Mishnah, if we look at the Mishnah, we saw Rabbi Yehuda, he argues on the Tanakama, correct? He argues on the Tanakama, but he does not argue on the Tanakama on the principle of Breira, because he says if both of them are his teachers, so then he can decide, if he mentioned before that he should have the ability to the option to decide on Shabbos which side he wants to go to, so he can do that. So we see in the Mishnah that even Rabbi Yehuda agrees to this principle of Breira. Sorry, I've missed out one or two lines. Okay, what I'm saying is a bit later. I've missed out. Okay, okay. So just now we're addressing what they argue. The first saying of Rabbi Yehuda, the first saying of Rabbi Yehuda, he argues with the Chachamim, and he says if one is a Rav, is his rabbi, he has to go in the direction of Rabbi, because that was his intention on Erev Shabbos. So Rabbanon is correct. It's very good svara. That is surely the intention of Erev Shabbos must have been to go in the direction of his rabbi. No, so Rabbanon's a kash in the Rabbanon. Or the Gemara asks, what's the reason of Rabbanon? The Gemara says lav dafke. Zim in the nichle bechavre tvei. Sometimes a person prefers hearing a shir from his rabbi. He prefers to hear from his chaver. He feels maybe more at liberty to argue and to discuss, and so therefore the principle of Breira will apply even in such a scenario, because yeah, it could have been, sometimes it's a choice. It's still a matter of choice. It's not for sure they intended to go in the direction of Rabbi. Okay. Now we'll come back to what I mentioned earlier, that we certainly see over here that Rabbi Yehuda seems to hold of Breira. Omar Rav said, "Lesel masnissen mit the masne aye." There is a brisa of aye, And therefore, the Mishnah is incorrect, and we've got to accept the version of Ayo. So Ayo is the name of a person, so we have to accept his version, and therefore, the version in the Mishnah is incorrect. What's the story? The Tony Ayo learns. Rabbi Huda Eimer ein odem masna shtei dvarim ke'echad. That you cannot make a t'nai on two things at the same time. You can't say that I will have a choice and I will I have a choice and I'll decide which direction to go. So making it t'nai, and then and the t'nai is dependent on that both of them could be an eruv, and it depends which one I'll choose. Elo imbo chochem lemizrach eruv lemizrach. If the chochem comes from the mizrach side, that the eruv is mizrach. Imbo chochem lemayrev, the chochem comes to the mayrev side, eruv lemayrev. That's okay. That you can say that type of t'nai you can make for the eruv. It depends which side the chochem will come, and whichever side the chochem will come, that's the side where his eruv, that's the side where his eruv is affected. You can do that. But you can't say, if I have two chachamim, then I'll have a choice which I want to go to. That's you can't do that. So therefore, the last line of the Mishnah is incorrect, because that was not the opinion. Rabbi Huda does not say that because of Ayah. The rest of the Mishnah is fine, but we're talking about the opinion of Rabbi Huda. So the Gemara is trying to understand. 1 second. What's the problem with delaying your choice on Shabbos? The Shabbos, I'll choose which one I want to go to. The Shabbos, I'll choose which one I'll go to. If say two chachamim will come, I'll have the choice. Why? Delay the aim breira, because the problem is you don't hold the principle of breira. So what issue is there with that Ayo said that if the two chachamim come from both directions, he can't choose on Shabbos, and that should be effective retroactively on Ben Hashmoshes. Why? Because he doesn't hold the principle of breira. So if you don't hold the principle of breira, so even if it's not going to be his choice, even if just one chacham come, but Friday you didn't know which direction the chacham come. On Shabbos you find out which chacham come. So that's also breira. You find out on Shabbos which direction the chacham is coming from. So you only find out on Shabbos which is the correct Eruv. So if you only find out on Shabbos which is the So you're also using this principle of going retroactive. On Shabbos, you find out which one Ben Hashmoshes was the correct Eruv. So the Mizrach Hamayrav Nami Ein Breira. So even if he agrees with I agrees that if there's just a chacham coming from Mizrach or just one chacham coming from Mayrav, then the Eruv in that direction is the effective Eruv. How do you do that? You're still relying on the principle of Breira. So Rabbi Yochanan ukvar bochacham. So Rabbi Yochanan said no, that according to Ayoy, that's not the pshat, that the chacham is already there. So therefore, since the chacham is already there, in other words, if the chacham was there before Shabbos, in other words, the chacham, let's say he's in a different city. The chacham is a different city. And in order to meet up for the people from, the chacham is from city A. The chacham is from Ashkelon. And in order for the chacham who is from Ashkelon to meet up with the people from Ashdod, so he has to walk. He has to, before Shabbos, move out of Ashkelon, because he can't meet the people of Ashdod. Even if both of them will make Erev Tchumen, he can't. He can't. It's too far away from Ashkelon to Ashdod. So the only way that they can meet is if the Chacham has already made progress from Ashkelon part of the way, and therefore he's a bit closer. And when it gets a bit closer, then the people from Ashdod will if they extend their Erev 4,000 amas, they'll be able to meet him. So therefore, so Rabbi Yochanan says that ukvar bochacham, when is this Erev effective to Mizrachot Ma'ariv? If the Chacham has already come within the distance to be able to, before Shabbos, that he's able to enter into the area where they will be, and so be'emes on Ben Hashmoshes, we know already which direction is going to go, because the Chacham is already there, and he is in the correct distance of the city. Which I'm thinking, it must be anyway. He must be within that distance. I mean, otherwise, how does the Chacham get to the place? It also has problems of Chum. So it must be that the Chacham is there already in the distance. So therefore, if the Chacham is already there in the distance, so we know. So the MS, who's we? The people who are looking from the. Okay, what's saying who's we? So be'emes, we know already which Erev. The only thing is the person who put the Erev, he doesn't know. Oh, so since it's known, the Chacham knows, people around the Chacham know. Whatever. The knowledge, the facts are there. The facts are there that the Chacham is going to come from on Erev Shabbos Ben Hashmoshes. The facts are there already that the Chacham is going to become from Israel, or he is going to become from Arab. So therefore, since the facts are there already, the only thing the person who's putting the Erev doesn't know. Since the facts are there, and the person putting the Erev doesn't know, such a case, then you don't know Breira. It's not even the cat. It's not called Breira. The MS Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold the Breira. It doesn't hold the Kala Breira. But here's it's not Breira. He says whichever direction the Chacham is going to come. I personally don't know, but it is a known. It's something which is known. So therefore, it's already being defined on Ben Hashmoshes. On the Ben Hashmoshes, it's already defined. When I put the Erev there, it's already defined which Erev is. I put Erev in both directions, so I don't know which way the Chacham is coming. But even though I don't know, but the Poel Mamash, it is defined because the Chacham is from one direction, and since the Chacham is one direction, so therefore it's kind of at that time. It's not retroactive. It's not when I find out. It's kind of right away Ben Hashmoshes. It's not Breira. It's kind of right away Ben Hashmoshes because the facts on the ground was there already. I just don't know. I find out. On the contrary, that the Erev is kind of Ben Hashmoshes. Me, I don't find out about it till later. But there's no retroactive happening. Okay, so that's that. That is if we. So this is Rabbi Yochanan justifying that the opinion of Ayoy, who disagrees with the Mishnah, right? And according to that, Rabbi Yehuda holds Ein Breira. Rabbi Yehuda does not agree with Breira. That's why, since Ein Breira, if the two teachers, the two Chachamim come from both directions, he can't decide on Shabbos which one the original Erev was and make the Erev retroactive. You can't do that. The only thing which can be effective is if I don't know, but the facts are already in existence, and therefore it's already defined, and the Erev is defined, and I didn't know. That's nishgefellach. That can work, but not if I would choose on Shabbos which retroactively was the Erev which happened on Friday. It's Breira, Ein Breira. Okay. So the Gemara asks, Adar Rabbi, lesser the Dayim Masnissen. 1 second. we have a Mishnah. We always know that we follow the Mishnahs. The Mishnahs are Rabbi made the Mishnah. That is the main. It's already been, the most checked over document, most checked over learning, source of learning is the Mishnah. So we should follow the Mishnah. So therefore, we should say that Aya's version of the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda is wrong because we have a Mishnah. We have a Mishnah. That's we always follow a Mishnah. So why did Rav decide that no, we have to cross out the Mishnah because of the Bryce? That's not unless we have overwhelming proof that we have to do that, we can't just go ahead and then we should the authority of the Mishnah overrides the authority of the Bryce. So you can't say that. You can't say to dismiss Ayoy because of the version of the Mishnah, the version of Rabbi Yehuda's opinion which we have in the Mishnah, because we have heard from other places that Rabbi Yehuda doesn't agree with Ayoy, with Breir, doesn't agree with Isnan. We learned the Mishnah. They bought wine from the Kusim, and assuming that it's there's no yayin nesach. Maybe that's before they when they were still before there was a gzeira, which it says that Remeir was geyser on the wine yayin nesach. So this the halacha is from before the gzeira. That's one explanation in fact. Anyway, but Kitzur, whatever it is, it's talking about the situation that there is no gzeira of yayin nesach from buying from a kusi, which is the Shemronim. So you buys wine from the kusim, and he wants to take truma and meiser. The kusim, they weren't so particular in truma and meiser, so therefore he can't rely on them that they took truma and meiser. Therefore he wants to take truma and meiser, but he doesn't have a keli in which it's wine. You have to put a truma in a keli, and his others still get lost. You can't just separate it. It's not fruit. They can hold on to the fruits and give it to the kohen. So he wants to make a truma by saying what will be truma. That should become. It says shnei lugin shani osi lahafrish. Now the two lugin. How much does he have? Let's say he has 100 lugin. So he wants to eat now. So he doesn't have where to pour out. This is a big barrel, which he doesn't have where to pour out the stuff. He says shnei lugin shani osi lahafrish harein truma. That the two lugin, because truma is 150. That means if you have 100 lugin, it's going to be 2. The 2 lugin which I'm going to be mafresh harein truma should be truma now. Asora, Meiserishin. Meiserishin is 10. So 10 lugin, which I'm going to separate afterwards, when I get to a place where I have some more vessels, should be Meiserishin. Tisha, Meiser Sheni. Now, Meiser Sheni is always 9, because by the time you get to Meiser Sheni, there's only 90 left. You take Meiserishin, the 10 is missing. So it's Meiser Sheni. Mechel, and then use Mechalel, the Meiser Sheni on the money. You have Meiser Sheni, so you use Mechalel. He doesn't even know which. This is a barrel. It's all mixed up. He doesn't know what is what. He says the ones I'll later I'll separate. Which I'll separate when I come to my house and I have all the vessels. And similarly for the Meiser Rishon, and similar to Meiser Sheni. And then Meiser Sheni umechel. Umechel means that you change on the money, so the kedusha goes on the money, so it doesn't have to rely on this whole convoluted way of doing things. I mean, it is relying partially, but at least since you can do that now, the Chachamim are not making. What you have no choice, Chachamim give you a kula. Okay, what you're going to be mafresh, and it's going to be fine. Since Meiser Sheni, you can easily take care of the Meiser Sheni. You should be permitted to use the wine. So the Chacham said no, that you do right away. So mechel, you right away you have to mechal it on money. The 10 is mechal the money. So therefore, the Meiser Sheni, which is in the barrel, is now you can eat it because the kedusha has gone into the money. The shoyse miyam, you can drink right away. In other words, that you're not allowed tevel. You tevel, you're not allowed to eat or drink. You can't make a promise. Oh, I promise I'll take truma. You have to take truma, and only then can you eat. You mafresh truma, then you can. So what are you relying on? You rely on the principle of Brera. He said, I make a truma now. Where's the truma? Is it the top part of the wine, bottom of the part of the barrel? Is it somewhere in the middle of the barrel? No, it's the ones which I'm going to. When I come home, when I'll be mafresh, those ones are truma. 1 second. But so right now you don't know what's a truma. So the principle of prayer, you say, yes, I do know which is truma. Which one? The one which I'll decide when I come home. When I'll take out, when I come out, put in a container, take out some of the stuff, and that's the ones which is truma. And therefore it's now truma. And therefore when I'm drinking the wine now, I'm not drinking the truma. Because that's not the one which is going to come out in the barrel later. So it's not a mixture of truma and non-truma mixed together, and therefore, and you can't use it. Truma and not truma mixed together, you can't use it. You have to be 100 times the amount because bottle. No, we say, yeah, it's fine. The truma is b'mafresh. So where is it? Which one is it? Nobody knows the answer. What do you mean? I know the answer. The answer is when I come home, I'll take out, and that's the truma. And therefore, now what I'm taking now is the ferish, not truma, and it's not meiser, and therefore I can drink it right away. That is the principle of breira. And when you do later, it retroactively becomes truma. When we do it later, it's pshat that originally that's the one which it made truma. So Rabbi Huda says it's okay, fine. Rabbi Huda raised Rabbi Shimon Oisri. They say it's awesome. So they say it's awesome. Why? Because they don't hold the breira. So you see that Rabbi Yehuda does not hold the breira. So Rabbi Yehuda does not hold the breira. So that's why, since we've seen the Mishnah that Rabbi Yehuda does not hold the breira, therefore this Mishnah we have to correct it to fit in, like Ayah said, and to correct it to fit in that it doesn't hold the breira. But whose opinion was that? That was Sham's opinion. I'll just take another 1 or 2 minutes because I want to try and catch up a little bit. So we'll take up another 2-3 minutes. Ula Amma says less Ayah. Ula says no. Ayah is wrong, and we follow the Mishnah. The Mishnah, that's the correct opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Yes, Rabbi Yehuda does hold the breira. He agrees with breira. So 1 second. How do you say Rabbi Yehuda holds the breira? He says Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Shimon also. So Ola says no. We have to read it differently. We have to put in the esnachta or the say in a different position. The comma put it in a different position because you have to read like this. Umechel v'sheisem miyad divrei Remeir Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon Oisrin. So Rabbi Yehuda holds like Remeir. Zuzi katone divrei Remeir. Sorry, Zuzi katone divrei Remeir Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yosef Shimon Oisrin. So Rabbi Yosef Shimon said it's awesome. So therefore we put the Mishnah back to it. We do not. It's according to Ula. It's machlokes Rav and Ula. According to Ula, we would not need to change the version of the Mishnah because Rabbi Yehuda does hold the breira. And well, of course, the Mishnah is the better version, and his brisa, we will discount his brisa. Like we'll try and catch up a bit because we missed a few days of Shavuos in the next few days, I believe.